tonight. Is Hoopla hooped?
Why are you using us, all of us, as a ploy?
The Teachers Federation and government go one-on-one with the provincial basketball tournament on the line. Also, the federal government announces more than $500 million for health and long-term care in our province. And we get a look at the new LED wall for virtual film production at the soundstage.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, March 18th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Saskatchewan teachers have announced 3 more days of strike action this week, and the collateral damage has many riled up. If nothing changes, a provincial band festival and a high school basketball championship will be cancelled. Alexander Kwan brings us the latest.
Let us play! Let us play! Let us play!
Student athletes joined in protest from the legislature in Regina to small communities across the province.
Don't take Hoopla away from us!
And even to the teachers union office in Saskatoon. They're upset this weekend's provincial high school basketball championships, known as Hoopla, could be canceled if teachers' sanctions aren't lifted.
We haven't been to Hoopla since 2018. We worked our butts off this season. Why are you using us, all of us, as a ploy? Why?
So that's not the case.
That could cancel my future in basketball. That could be the last, and last week could have been the last game of my entire life, and I have no idea.
It hurt because, especially with our team, we've been playing together since we were grade 6, so this is our last kind of dance together, so really hurt knowing that that opportunity might be gone.
The union representing teachers announced they'll hold a province-wide strike on Wednesday and then withdraw extracurricular activities on Thursday and Friday, effectively canceling several student events.
It's their decision to make. They don't have to shut down Hoopla. They can make a decision not to shut down Hoopla, and they can make a decision to come back to the bargaining table, and we respectfully would invite them to do so.
STF President Samantha Beacott says the province has had months to find a solution to this problem. She's urged the government to address class size and complexity in a new contract or head to binding arbitration. The province has declined both. Beacott admits this latest round of job action could put a dent in their support.
There is a concern about public perception of these actions, but our hope is that the public recognizes the fight that teachers are having to get this government to make long-term commitments to public education. It shouldn't be this hard.
Organizers of Hoopla say if the sanctions aren't lifted by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, the tournament will be canceled. The STF is set to send 4,000 teachers to the legislature that day, just as the province is set to unveil its budget, setting up what could be a heated midweek clash over education in Saskatchewan. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is sounding the alarm about the provincial government's debt just 2 days before the budget. The CTF says the government's debt is expected to increase by nearly $400 million this year. The Federation says it expects the government to pass a deficit budget later this week. It also says if the government doesn't act fast, this could cost taxpayers thousands of dollars.
Look at the government and they see, oh, you're running up $18 billion worth of debt. And then it becomes that problem, right? Because they're wasting all of that taxpayer money on interest payments instead of on important priorities because they fail to do what's right and actually balance the budget. So I think it shows that taxpayers see that this should be a priority, and if they do it at their own house, the government should be able to do it in theirs.
The provincial government projected a $1 billion surplus for this fiscal year, but that turned into a $250 million deficit in the most recent budget update. The province will reveal the new budget Wednesday afternoon. More than $500 million has been committed by Ottawa to support healthcare in our province. The federal minister of health was in Regina for it today, and Adam Hunter has the details on where the money is going.
Federal Health Minister Mark Holland announced $560 million in healthcare transfers to Saskatchewan. The money is split into 2 agreements. The Working Together deal pledges $391 million for health system improvements, including supporting a new pay model with doctors, creating new permanent acute care and complex care beds in Regina and Saskatoon, and expanding post-secondary training seats.
We have to be dealing with the health workforce crisis of right now. This agreement does exactly that. We have to be able to make sure that that person who needs care is able to get the care. You know, that they have a relationship with a family doctor, that they can walk into a clinic and they can be seen. Because if they don't get that, that minor problem becomes a massive problem down the road.
$169 million will go toward the Aging with Dignity Agreement. It's a 5-year plan to increase and enhance home care and long-term care services.
As folks get older, it's essential they be able to age at home, that they're able to age in their own community, and that they have hopefully the opportunity to stay at home as long as possible, or be given the opportunity for a safe long-term care facility.
The announcement was made outside the Regina Urgent Care Center, which is expected to open later this year. When open, it will operate 24/7. The goal is to divert people there from ERs while also assisting those with mental health needs.
And some of this funding, to be clear, goes towards, stabilizing workforce types of initiatives and to recruitment and retention of staff. We need to make sure that for facilities like this that we do have, such as the Urgent Care Center, that we do have the appropriate staff to operate and provide the health care that is necessary in these facilities.
The president of the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses says she hopes the center eases the pressure on the system and agrees with Hinley that staffing will determine the center's success.
We have to have the staff. So this is what has to happen first and foremost, because it doesn't matter how many places we open. If we actually do not have the staff to make it run, it's going to fail. And that's not what any registered nurse wants. That's not what we want for the system, and we certainly don't want it for the people of Saskatchewan.
Zamburi says the union will be watching Minister Hinley to make sure he stays on track. She says registered nurses want to help be involved in providing solutions to healthcare issues in the province. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
The University of Saskatchewan's Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization is joining a NATO defense program. It's among 13 new Canadian test centers involved in the program, and it will focus on biotechnology. If there's a biotech problem, especially one involving human and animal health, there could be a call out to centers such as Vito to help find a solution. That could include helping with medical countermeasures overseas. The Saskatoon facility was recommended to NATO by the Department of National Defence. Earlier this year, the federal government announced a cap on international students, but that cap could actually have a reverse effect here. Under the new rules, there could be more students coming to Saskatchewan. As Pratush Dayal reports, the big question is, can the province actually deal with the potential increase?
A temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits.
The federal government is limiting the number of international students coming to Canada. In the last decade, the numbers have been increasing. In 2015, Saskatchewan saw some 3,900 international students coming in. Last year, it jumped to some 12,000 students. Similar to national trends, India is the country from where most international students come from. Then China and Nigeria. Experts say under these new rules, Saskatchewan could catch some of the students diverted from other provinces. Places like BC and Ontario are impacted more by this cap. That could increase Saskatchewan student enrollment during the 2 years of the cap. But is the province ready for an influx of potential students?
I don't think Saskatchewan is ready at all, because right now they can't even accommodate the current students.
This University of Regina student says there is a housing crisis.
I was able to live in a living room with a partition with a much cheaper rent. Not the best days of my life, but it is affordable. But does it make your life happy though? Like, for example, I wasn't happy, like you don't have the privacy, you don't have anything, like just a partition covering you apart from your roommates while they all have doors and everything.
Zaruk says the community fridge at the university is empty within minutes of stocking. Such is the food insecurity among students.
I know other people who are like 7 people sharing a 2 BHK and paying insane amount of money even though they are sharing.
But students say the biggest challenge is finding jobs.
It was very difficult for me to find employment. I needed some part-time jobs, but it was very difficult for me to find one. But after graduation, The main reason I found was that I lacked Canadian work experience.
Internships are crucial to get that Canadian work experience. This student applied for hundreds before being accepted.
And even if you work, you do everything, you cannot make your ends meet. And at the end of the day, with inflation and everything, the cost of groceries is high, the rent is high, right? So it puts a big dent in our pocket when we, try and afford our education.
International students tell CBC they don't think Saskatchewan has the infrastructure or services to accommodate more students.
Will I advise people to move to Saskatchewan at the moment? Maybe not, because we don't have enough jobs here.
Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Regina not-for-profit found itself in need of a new roof repair. And thanks to Regina Trades and Skills Centre, students will save them the significant cost of labor. Those roof repairs were going to cost the Indigenous Christian Fellowship about $60,000. The director says they learned in January that students would be helping. It's a chance for the trade school to give back while also being provided the hands-on learning that will teach the students the skills they want.
If I don't have to get $60,000 worth of donations through the work that was done for 20, it's a huge blessing, because anyone who's gone looking for donations knows that everybody's got 10 other places to share their good money with too.
Feels good to give back to them. So they always give back to the community as long as I've lived around here and stuff like that.
Gordon says the fellowship on Dewdney Avenue actually helped him as a kid and gave him a bike. The church has been operating for just over 45 years and relies solely on donations to provide weekly meals to the community and other programming. People have long been complaining about devices and equipment that don't work together across different brands. It's particularly noticeable in the tech industry, and that is spreading. The federal government has noticed it, and new legislation is in the works to change it. Paula Duhachik explains.
For farmers like Chris Allam, it's normal to mix and match equipment. A tractor from one brand and a seeder from another. But he says this isn't always as easy as it once was.
It's harder and harder to get things to work together. So the farmer, out of frustration, will end up spending more money just buying two things that are the same brand so they work together.
Problems with interoperability are usually associated with Silicon Valley. Think of how Apple, for years, didn't use the USB cable for its iPhones, forcing customers to buy a Lightning cable instead. The practice is spreading to other industries. Some farm equipment comes equipped with digital locks, technology that prevents farmers from using other brands' attachments.
The impact on our business today is measurable. It's becoming more and more prevalent every day and every year as we come out with the new makes and models.
Right now, manufacturers can't bypass those digital locks without the risk of violating the Copyright Act. But a bill working its way through the Senate aims to change that.
The right to innovate is what we call this bill. So we want people to have the confidence that if they want to build a specific product for a specific purpose, that they can still use the big company's platform.
The bill is being cheered by right-to-repair advocates who see this as part of a broader issue, companies controlling what customers do with their products.
Can you fix the thing that you own? Can you buy products that interoperate with the thing that you own? These are fundamental freedoms.
Still, manufacturers say the bill won't fully solve the problem. They say all farm equipment should be interoperable to begin with in order to be sold in Canada. Paula Duhachik, CBC News, Calgary.
What a lovely, warm, spring-like day in Saskatoon and right across southern Saskatchewan, but unfortunately, it's not something you can get used to, so soak up these sunny images. We're going to see the weather flip again tonight and over the next couple of days, dropping back down below freezing. Ethan will have your full forecast after the break. Stay with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. It's March. It's madness.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. I am having a hard time accepting it's mid-March because it feels way warmer than that.
Yeah, we saw some pretty warm temperatures throughout much of the province today.
And we're still warm even right now. Of course, as you see down in the southwest corner, Maple Creek got to 18 today, or just about. That's not a record for this day for Maple Creek. That was set back in 2017 when you got over 19 degrees in that part of the province. But you can see this cold front that is stretching through the north here. It's attached to this low pressure system in Manitoba. And behind that, we have some pretty chilly temperatures. In the far north, we're into the minus teens right now, getting close to minus 20 with a little bit of wind. And there is quite a bit of wind through the province. That same low pressure system really cranking up gusts today in eastern sections of the province in between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour at times. And we're still seeing that in parts of the province right now. And the other thing that low is doing is it has brought through a little bit of cloud cover, especially through far northern Saskatchewan today, and that continues to shift southward a bit here. A few flurries beginning to move into northwestern sections of the province, but there are some clearing skies in behind that front as the cloud cover will drop southward with the cold front overnight tonight to bring cloud to south and central Saskatchewan. But it is cold in behind that front, as I've been mentioning. And overnight tonight, some temperatures in the far north close to minus 30. Could be seeing some wind chills nearing minus 40 in that part of the province. Tomorrow, staying mostly cloudy in southern Saskatchewan. Maybe some breaks of sun here and there through central regions. Kind of a sun-cloud mix for northern Saskatchewan tomorrow. And then our attention turns to southwestern Saskatchewan because we have a couple of rounds of snow that are going to be making their way in. The first round early Wednesday morning and through the day Wednesday bring a little bit of snow, and then really as we get into Thursday, that's the most significant round moving in. And we're not ruling out the possibility of in between maybe 15 to 25 centimeters of snow in that part of the province, especially in higher elevations around the Cypress Hills. That is primarily where we're going to see the high amounts. But as you see for areas like Assiniboia and Swift Current, we're really only looking for about 5 centimeters. Regina, Saskatoon, this is not our storm that we're going to be seeing. We probably won't get really anything from that. Maybe a few stray flurries here and there. Wind's going to stay breezy overnight tonight and into tomorrow, especially through southeastern Saskatchewan. Could see those still gust upwards of 50 at times. The winds die down a bit in advance of that system as we start to head into Wednesday. So the outlook for Regina, calling for a high of minus 3 tomorrow. Yes, spring does still arrive tomorrow evening despite the temperature drop. And then we're mostly just cloudy with that system moving through Wednesday, Thursday. And then we're sort of just languishing in these below seasonal temperatures, mid-minus single digits. And yes, we're dropping into the minus double digits overnight. Not as cold as Saskatoon, where as we get through these next couple of days here, could see a couple daytime highs near minus 10 and maybe dropping into the minus 20s for overnight lows. But Saskatoon, we will be getting some clearing a little bit later in the week. So yes, don't be fooled, Sam. Spring still on schedule for tomorrow night.
Ew.
March in Saskatchewan, am I right?
It's true. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, speaking of spring, it'll come as no surprise looking at this, that it's officially peak bloom for the cherry blossoms lining the National Mall in Washington. This is the second earliest it's happened following one of the warmest winters ever recorded. Peak bloom is defined as when 70% of the cherry trees are flowering. The blooms usually last for several days, of course, depending on the weather. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. An Ontario business owner feels she's been penalized after bringing manufacturing home to Canada. Her company was hit with tens of thousands of dollars in surprise tariffs since one component was reclassified. Anis Hadari has the details.
This all started when a Markham, Ontario-based company selling couches for kids decided it wanted to make them in Canada instead of in China. Barumba Play makes furniture that kids can disassemble and reassemble into forts. Everything used to be made in China and was imported without tariffs, a type of tax, because it's a children's toy. After manufacturing came back to Canada, the one thing they couldn't get made here was the slip covers for the couches. At first, they were able to bring those in from China without being taxed because it was still considered part of a children's toy. But then the Canada Border Services Agency changed its tune.
I received a letter from the CBSA saying, actually, it's not a toy, it's fabric, and we're going to group you in with carpets, bed linens, and table linens. And we want you to pay an 18% duty not just going forward, but retroactive for the last couple years. And by the way, if you don't like it, you can file an appeal, but you have to pay us all the money first.
That money is estimated by the owners to be anywhere between $50,000 to $70,000. Money the business would prefer to hang on to while it appeals this decision. But unfortunately, while personal income tax collection can be suspended in some cases, that's not possible with tariffs like this.
If you don't pay it, they will go after you, even if you're launching an appeal. I've had clients with $1 million plus assessments, wrong assessments, have to go out of business because they can't pay it. And by the time the appeal process runs its course, which is going to take time, they can't manage it.
The CBSA refused interview requests about this subject and didn't provide a written statement either. Barumba Play says the company got legal advice and is fighting these extra charges. But the owner also says she feels penalized for bringing her manufacturing back to Canada. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather, but I don't know if we want to hear it.
Yeah, well, not too painful tonight in Regina, at least. We're talking about a temperature still around freezing at midnight. Might be a few fog patches here and there. As we get into tomorrow morning, the cold front has reached us, but we'll be only around -4, still not too bad. But those north winds starting to pick up again, gusting near 50 at times, and that'll be the case through the afternoon as well as we see a little bit of cloud cover starting to move in. We'll warm up to around -2, but we still may drop back a little bit in the afternoon as that colder air starts to move in. Saskatoon sitting around -1 tonight. Not as much of a chance of fog for you folks, but the cold front really hits you tomorrow morning, sitting around -8. That's chilly comparatively and not warming up all that much into the afternoon. And yes, Sam, there is some more colder temperatures to come after that.
You know, there's somebody that likes it. So for that person, I'm excited for you.
This is for you, one person.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, we did get a chance today to check out the new LED wall over at the John Hopkins Soundstage in Regina. Basically, it's a bunch of linked LED panels used to display video footage, and the system was brought here in partnership with local production company Karma Film and Volume Global. The wall can be used in addition to traditional background capture techniques like green screens.
We've had a real crack team of experts come in and build this, and so what you're seeing behind you is bleeding edge technology. It's the largest volume in the country, and for example, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Andor, those Disney series, those are all shot on comparable volumes to this one, right? And I would wager to say that we're slightly bigger.
What it means to Saskatchewan is we have the latest technology you can find in this space. It's attracting some of the largest motion pictures that are looking for a place to shoot, and so it's going to provide us with the opportunity to build the industry right here in Regina, but more broadly across Saskatchewan as well, and provide yet additional opportunities for Saskatchewan, not just youth, but in particular youth.
The LED wall will also be available to other companies to rent for production. After the loss of the film tax credit in 2012, the industry in Saskatchewan all but disappeared. The government points to grant increases for what it's calling a turnaround over the last 2 years. Since April 2022, the province says it's helped fund 46 productions in the province and in turn created more than 800 jobs. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to our website. You can subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.